What's the good word, y'all? It's your boy DKB here. So we're covering our third tackle from the 2024 NFL draft class. And realistically, I'm going to try to cover as many guys as I can. Realistically, the Jets should be looking at a tackle every round 1 through 7, comparable to best available player and, of course, other needs on the team. But so far, this has been fun, right? Third prospect. Each of the top 3 guys so far have each brought a little bit of a different flavor and something that sets them apart from the remaining tackles in this draft class. And this one is near and dear to my heart. I love a good pass protecting O-line, but it is fun to just watch a tackle be able to go out there and ragdoll and punish somebody in a running game. And that is what you're getting out of a guy like Taliese Fuaga from Oregon State, standing at 6'6" and 334 pounds. I mean, generally, I definitely remember going into like college days. If I heard anything over like 6'2", 6'3", and anything 300 and plus, generally I just imagined thick gut, flabby, maybe even athletic arms, but generally just kind of like a big boulder, right? A lot of these guys in this draft class, especially Fuaga here, he actually carries his weight really, really well. So you can't tell that he's as nimble, as explosive and athletic as he actually ends up showing up on tape. Mainly a right tackle, right? But there is some positional versatility here that people will project. He could be an excellent starting guard. He has the fundamentals in pass protection to potentially move over to the left side as well. But I brought this up during the Jets Flight Squad podcast. This really does kind of feel like a similar situation if the Jets do have one or two of the top guys available at their pick, where you have your version of Tristan Wirfs and your guys like Mekhi Becton and whatnot. Obviously a little bit different. I think the tackles in this class are obviously much better than men. But it's going to be a similar situation for Joe Douglas. Do you want to take an excellent, potentially elite right tackle, or do you want to shoot for the stars for a left tackle with maybe, supreme Hall of Fame upside? Honestly, in this day and age, I don't think you can go wrong. If you can get an elite player on the offensive line, you take him, you figure out everything else after the fact. Fuaga is also coming from a zone-based scheme with the Beavers. Minimal to really no injury history that I was able to dig up so far. You see his background and maybe where that ferocious mentality comes from him growing up playing offensive and defensive line. So he kind of has an understanding of how you want to attack an offensive lineman to, be able to utilize that against them. And then you're talking about him being a 2-year starter. Never gave up a sack during college, and he's PFF's highest rated run blocker, which is a hard stat it's a hard attribute of the NFL game to really put metrics around, at least at this point in time. But he had a 93.4 grade, which led all college offensive linemen. So you aren't talking about, just a run-of-the-mill tackle here, right? He's definitely in a different tier just because the pass protection isn't, top tier. But you don't just luck into not having any sacks, right? It's not like he only played a couple of hundred snaps. We're talking about a guy with 1,500 plus snaps on his resume in the all Pac-12, conference. So again, this is a guy I would not sleep on if he's still an option and other guys are gone. Obviously, all of these guys have racked up some accolades, but it's worth mentioning that he had a first-team All-Pac-12 selection in 2023. What is he bringing to the Jets if we opt to bring him in, though? So everything around his most elite playing traits is going to be triggered in the run game, right? Bullies defenders utilizing his size. It's not a guy that's shy about being 6'6" and 330-plus pounds. Pro-ready build, so he's a guy that can still get even stronger, which is scary enough, more explosive, all that good stuff. But he's coming in as a guy that already is going to look like a man amongst men. Heavy hands to disrupt and engagement and timing when it does come to things like pass blocking, but definitely in the run blocking game. We mentioned the positional versatility. He really is an exceptional athlete for his size. I was actually a little bit surprised. And I didn't end up checking the full list, but it didn't look like he appeared on Bruce Feldman's freaks list. But I wouldn't be surprised if he would be an addition on there. Proactive in looking to dominate someone, right? So this is everything I'm talking about when it comes to mentality. He's a different beast aside from your Fashanus and your Joe Alls when it comes to He is literally going out there to look at, he wants to punish somebody, right? I don't know what they did, but they put on he really has this water boy kind of mentality, right? Somebody says something about his mama and it's lights out for whoever else is against him. Excellent knee bend and leverage, which is something all three of these top guys seem to have in spades for being such tall athletes. He has some pretty good redirection ability, recovers pretty well due to his hip flexibility as well. So, a lot of these bigger guys, and definitely more of the heavier set ones, they're not used to having to really move laterally and do different things, but he works pretty good on angular sets where he's looking to kind of cut off people or, attack a certain kind of a gap or lane. Explosive to dominate the second level. So if he doesn't have somebody immediately in front of him, I feel bad for whatever linebacker or safety, maybe even cornerback that's sitting there looking to try to do a cut block or something, because he's going to absolutely road rail him. Consistently squares up his body. So this is one of the fundamental parts of his pass protecting game. He makes sure that body, shoulders, legs, hips, they're all squared up to make sure he can put everything into disrupting right out the gate. Steals blockers in the run game before he hits the next level. So where a lot of tackles or any really offensive linemen, when they're getting to the second and third level, the first thing you really want to do is make sure that the man in front of you is going to be taken care of, right? Whether that's you pancaking him, whether that's you just sitting him on his behind, passing him off to another guy. He's he's effortlessly able to, switch assignments quickly enough to be able to go out there and make things happen to open up some additional lanes. Great angle, working as a puller. So this is going to be another attribute for us, right? If we pick up a guy like Fuaga, let's say we feel we have both tackle positions filled out between free agency and whatever happens on day one of the draft. You get a guy like Fuaga, and at least in the early portions until you move him back to tackle, you have a elite pulling guard who can go out there and handle his business. Now, again, there's cons, right? This is a different tier. Fashanu and Joe Alt are definitely top tier to me. And it's not that steep of a difference between a guy like Fuaga and those two other guys, Fashanu and Alt, in terms of the grand traits in what they're going to bring to the NFL game. They're just different areas of domination here. Some of the things we're going to be concerned about with Fuaga, he's challenged sealing off the edge against speed. Shouldn't really be a surprise, as explosive as he is and as good as he has in hip flexibility and all that kind of stuff. Still, he's 330 plus. So you're going to have a little bit of an issue against, your Bryce Huff type guys of the world, your Carl Lawsons, different guys like that. And it's more so due to his vertical hip transitions. So that's something that he should be able to kind of work out and get a better grasp on as he transitions to the NFL level. Loses leverage on pass plays. This has been something that's pretty common against all guys, and it's a little bit more consistent in his game that when he's run blocking, everything is fluid. It's almost instinctual with how he goes out there and handles those reps. In pass protection, he can kind of lose his sense of balance and, center of gravity and things. Play a little bit taller, and then all the power and stuff goes out the window at that point. You can see him lose gap control due to his footwork on occasions, not really, keeping him on the move, being able to reset, handle stunts and different things of that nature consistently. In terms of his mentality, that aggression can also cost him when he's working in space, when he ends up overextending, maybe mistiming some blocks as he's looking to really just go out there and make contact as quick as possible. He can lose help during blitz recognition, so this was a little bit odd to see on tape. There's times where he might have a tight end helping him. He might have some help from the guard, and you see him drift away from the formation and kind of that natural pass protecting, arc you want to give your quarterback, and that can leave, a gap. Generally, it's to his outside shoulder, which we'll talk about here in a little little bit, but still something that was a little bit frustrating to see out of him. He's a little bit of a bear hugger. First time we're kind of seeing this out of the top prospects so far. When it comes to recovering from being beat initially, and then you can see him consistently lose to cross chops due to his hand placement, right? Generally, when it comes to offensive line, you want to get within the chest pads. That way you can kind of corral, move a guy, put him on his back, whatever you want to do. It's going to be very hard when it's mano-a-mano to really outpower an offensive lineman like that. But his hands can get a little bit out of place, and that cross chop ends up being effective more often than not against him. You'll see delayed releases on screens. Again, the pass protecting thing, this is where he needs a little bit more experience and confidence in this particular area. And then kind of going back to kind of the cross chops, him drifting, different things of that nature. You'll see him oversell to make defenders win on his outside shoulder. So I can kind of get the thought process here, right? The quickest path to the quarterback is going to be inside. So working as a tackle, if you can seal off that gap between the guard and yourself, and you force them to go outside, even if you get beat, you might be able to cause that additional half a second hiccup, maybe full second, for them to try to get around you freely and then make a dive at the quarterback, for it to not ultimately be a problem. But that can kind of play into the hands of defenders that are a little bit better about setting up moves and being able to strategize against offensive linemen. But Fuaga would be a guy I would be happy to get. I think 10 as of right now is a little bit high. Granted, I don't think plenty will change between now and the draft per se in terms of my thoughts for him. We'll see what more information comes out and how guys are looking at the combine and stuff like that from an athleticism standpoint. But yeah, in my books, if we got him at 10, I wouldn't be upset. I think his best value would be in the mid-round for us. But this is a guy that I think you take and you never look back, knowing what he is as a run-blocking phenom and a guy that has the traits and the fundamentals right now to still excel in pass protection at the next level. And then if it doesn't work out at tackle, you have one of the most vicious guards in the NFL. But from what I've been looking at from a pro comparison type situation, you have a few different characters, and it's pretty wide ranging. You have Halopalui Vitae, a bit more of an athletic version of him, kind of similar physical archetypes. Penei Sewell wasn't one I really agreed with. You have Trent Williams, but on the right side, so obviously as a pure right tackle. Then you have guys like Caleb McGarry and Braden Smith. And for the most part, outside of Penei Sewell, I would say I would agree with a lot of what those guys are mentioning. But this is a guy that is big on traits. So if you feel like you have the coaching staff in place that can kind of help continue to progress and smooth some of those kinks out, you could be looking at a perennial all-pro guy here. I think these first three guys legitimately would be pressed to fail, more so than it's a bigger chance that they succeed rather than fail. That's what I'm trying to get to here. But let me know what you guys think. Fuaga, from a run blocking perspective, so far my favorite run blocking tackle. Fashanu's definitely my favorite pass protecting guy, and I think Joe Walsh is kind of the best combination of both. So we'll see how the rest of the class plays out. But again, let me know your thoughts, and I'll catch you guys again. Peace.